The grand ballroom of luxurious hotel was adorned with elegant decoration, shimmering lights, and air of anticipation. Guests mingled their conversation, a hum of excitement, as they awaited a big announcement from Kim family. When the marketing manager had spent weeks preparing for this event, she ensured every detail was perfect from the invitation to the decoration, reflecting the sophistication and grandeur of their company. As the evening progressed, Mr. Kim took to the stage. The room fell silent and all eyes turned to him. "Good morning, everyone." Mr. Kim began, his voice commanding yet firm. "Tonight we gather to celebrate a milestone in the company's history, a new market launch collaboration." The crowd erupted into applause, and Vine couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. She caught the young eyes across the room, and he gave a small nod of acknowledgement. Her heart fluttered unexpectedly. "But tonight," Mr. Kim continued, "we also have another significant announcement to make. It is my great pleasure to share some personal about." The room fell even quieter, if that was possible, as everyone leaned in to hear the announcement. Mr. Kim smiled proudly. "I'm delighted to announce the engagement." Gasps and murmurs replayed through the crowd as the spotlight focused on Taeyang and Ji-won. Taeyang's expression was emotionless, almost stoic, and he stood next to his fiancée Ji-won. On the other hand, beamed with joy, her hand gently. One felt a sudden, unexplainable pang in her chest. She tried to process her emotions, but everything felt jumped and confused. She had always admired Taeyang for his leadership and vision, but she had never considered her feelings beyond professional admiration. Now seeing him announced as someone, she forced a smile and joined in the applause. Her mind racing, Taeyang caught her eye again, and this time his gaze lingered a moment longer. There was a fleeting shadow of something in his eyes. As the party continued, one found herself drifting through the crowd, her mind whirlwind of thoughts. She wasn't sure what she was feeling or why it felt so intense. Taeyang, now surrounded by well-wishers and his beaming fiancé, glanced in her direction once more. Her face remained emotionless, but his eyes. The celebration continued. But for Vine, the night taken an unexpected turn. The next morning, Vine arrived at the office earlier than usual. She hoped to immerse herself in work to distract from the unsettling emotions that lingered after the previous night's announcement. As she walked through the office, she felt the eyes of her colleagues on her. The news of Taeyang's engagement had spread quickly, and everyone seemed to bursting with excitement and curiosity. One kept her head down, offering polite as she reached her desk and settled, opening her laptop and diving into his mails. But as she began to lose herself in work, her phone meeting in the office in 10 minutes. Her heart skipped a beat at the sight of his message. She took a deep breath, reminding herself to remain professional. She gathered her notes and headed to his office, her mind racing with a mix of anticipation and dread. When she arrived, she knocked lightly on the door before entering. Taeyang was seated behind his large mahogany desk, his expression cold and unbearable. He glanced up briefly as she entered, but there, "Good morning," she greeted, forcing a professional tone. "Morning," he replied coldly. "Please have a seat." She sat down, placing her notes on the desk in front of her. Taeyang wasted no time getting to the point. "We need to discuss the next step for our marketing launch," he said, his voice void of any emotion. "There were several key strategies we need to finalize." While nodded, focusing on the task, they delved into the details of marketing plan. As the meeting progressed, one couldn't help but notice the tension in the air. Every now and then, the gaze would flicker to her, but he quickly looked away, his jaw tightening. It was clear that he was struggling with his own. After an hour of discussion, they had covered most of the important points. Then leaned back in his chair, his expression hardening further. "Anything else you need to discuss?" he asked. Wine hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Struck him about last night. I just want to say Tang's eyes darkened and he looked away. Tang he said tersely, his voice cold. One felt a pang of hurt at a distance response, but she quickly masked it. There's nothing else, I will get to work, she said, standing up. Tang nodded, not meeting her eyes. That will be all. As she left his office, one couldn't shake the feeling of something unspoken between them. She returned to her desk, trying to focus on her work, but her mind kept drifting back to Tang's school demeanor. Few hours later, Van spoke. Finally, the workday is over. I cracked my neck and started packing my belongings. I checked the time and realized I forget about my date. Today was my what I'm going to tell now. I'll work extra every day because once I leave here, I have to go straight home, and I don't want to go home early because who is worst enemy is there. Her mom died in an accident when she was 2, and then her married. A year later was born. Love me because I'm the child, but also loves Yuri. Initially, I thought she was unique and loved me as much as but then I realized she was just pretending. She taken everything from me, and now she has taken my. She knew I had a huge on Sujun since high school, and then he was my childhood best friend, but she confessed to him, and I found out her to a felt shattered. Now could she do that to me? She knew very well, but still, and now they are getting married next week, so preparation are in full swing at our house. But my parents want to go to date with best friend. I already tell him twice and forgotten to go, and now once again, poor Jamin is probably sitting in. I sit back in my chair and hold my head in hand. Then suddenly the door of my cabin opened. I look up and see Sujan, Tang's executive assistant, and my fiancée. She gives me a dull look. Sujan, she waves her hand in front of me because I'm staring blankly at her face. Wine, yes, Sujan. Sujan, when you forget your date today, when I know now, please tell me what should I do or what should I say do. Sojan, I'm going to a party with collegians. My bros found what I don't know that was one of the collegians. One what kind of Sojan mistaken said we all worked very hard this week for a new collection. So he organized more celebration for everyone at a luxurious 5-star. My eyes widened as she added more. Sojan and Mr. Kim is also coming with us. She said this and my mood shifted to excitement. But why? Anyway, I can't miss this. Sojin, and yeah, you can't miss it because he specially said that everyone has to come. When do I look good? I ask softly because I know everyone always makes fun of my simple appearance, so I pretend not to care in front of them. But here, Sojin is my best when I share everything with her, especially after I started to talking lies with Sojin. And Sojin, you look perfect, man. Just wait. Your hair, she says as she picks my hair and start to check her purse and takes out a lip tint. Sojan, now apply it or do you want me to do it for you? I take it from her and start to apply it. Suddenly we hear someone clear their throat. We both look in that direction and see Tiang standing there with his hand in his pocket. Look at me. Sojan, sorry if I took too much time. Tiang, Miss Sojan, go and book the special dining area at the Singularity. He says firmly. She nods and leaves the room. Now it's just two of us, looking at each other. One spoke. I look at him, my hand is still in front of my, holding a lip tint. My heart starts to beat fast as Theon stepped toward me. He stands in front of me. Theon, when this color doesn't suit you, he says, looking. Theon, do you have another? I nod and he grabs and hands to me. One cheek flutters, his exposed mildly, his cheeks warming with a slight blush. She hurriedly searched for her purse, trying to maintain her composure despite the unexpected of the moment. While here, I have different shades. She had out the alternative lip tint, avoiding his gaze. As she did so, Tim took it from her with a faint smile. voice was soft, but his expression remained cold, causing her to glance up at him. Their eyes met briefly before he turned away, opening the Lipton to inspect the color. Think this one should suit you better. One managed a smile, not feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Think closed the approximate and gentle way to handle the situation. Think you should apply it. The statement caught her off guard, but she nodded again, taking the Lipton from him and applied carefully. Think watched her silently, his expression unreadable. As if she finished it, she nervously took the strand of her hair. One, thank you. Thanks gaze softened slightly, a hint of warmth flickering in his eyes. Thank you're welcome, Wen. The use of her name sounded real to her, and she smiled gratefully. They stood there for a moment. Before Wen could say anything else, Tang excused himself. With a nod, his demeanor once again cool and composed. He left her standing there, heart racing and mind buzzing with the encounter. She watched him walk away, unable to shake the feeling that something had shifted between them, even if just slightly. Sojan, you look super cute in the shade. I have only seen you color a couple of times, like when you went to the meeting with Mr. Kim, she said as she held your hand. Everyone was leaving the office, so she ran over to you, clenching to her side. She's pretty and biblical, which make her popular among the colleges, but she prefers to spend most of her time with you. Once Sojan, you are Mr. Kim's assistant, you should stay with him. She pouted and held your hand tightly. Sojan, I'm going with things in his car. You can come with me because he said I could bring a friend. One spoke as we were talking. We ended up in front of Dan's car. I looked around and saw our colleagues getting into their respective cars in groups. Deng was standing on the other side of his car smoking, but how since when? I thought he didn't like smoking. I learned that when I attend a meeting with him and some foreign business partner. So then we are here. Deng turned toward us, or rather me. His eyes landed directly on me. He nodded and opened his car door before getting in. I looked Sojan and she smiled at me. Sojan, when I always sit in the front seat, I hate sitting in the back. You know that, and I told him so too. He didn't pressure me to sit with him in the back so he can sit with him. She gave me a puppy eyes before getting into the car. I said and was about to open the door, but it opened automatically. Did Mr. Kim opened it for the inside for me? I got in and my heartbeat started to race from his presence. He cleared his throat before speaking. Close the door, or do you want me to? He said. I quickly closed the door, my cheeks heating up whenever I eyes met in the review mirror. Susan, so we forget to thank you for this party. We are so happy about it, she said politely. Then he replied, I also wanted to thank him, so I took a deep breath. Well, Mr. Kim, as soon as I said his name, he looked at me and his gaze made me shiver. Well, thank you for the party, sir. I shuddered. He turned his gaze away from me and nodded while responding, Thanks, Bob. I feel strange whenever I'm close to her. As if she sat beside me, my eyes land on her lips. I stare at her face, but quickly turn my gaze outside when she catches my tongue. Don't know that she will feel uncomfortable or think I'm a creep. My eyes widened when I looked outside. Is that her? Or I'm hallucinating? But even if why I'm hallucinating her, I focus more intently and judge it's her. Han Jiwon, my fiancée, but who is that with her? The car next to her is moving at the same speed. Jiwon is with some guy. Their car window is open. I didn't know she had her. And if she does, why did she agree to this marriage? No, don't jump into conclusion. Maybe it's someone else. When she was about to look outside, I hid myself, causing my arm to hit one. Her eyes widened in surprise, saying, I'm sorry. She nodded, and I felt foolish because our car window wasn't even open. At the restaurant, employees employees, thank you Mr. Kim for this wonderful party. All the employees said this and they were seated. They settled into their groups. Thank I'm happy for you, good Mrs. Lee. Thank shook hands with a middle-aged woman. Mrs. Lee thanks a collaboration partner. She had invited her, but her assistant couldn't come due to sudden illness, so Mrs. Lee came by herself. Tang, Sojan, Yo, and Mrs. Lee sat at the table together. Tang and Sojan sit across from you while you sit next to Mrs. Lee. Sometime later, Sojan is quite drunk, and you can tell Tang's face on you. Mrs. Lee, you know Mr. Tang, I'm impressed with your manager. She's very intelligent. Can I take her to my company? Mrs. Lee had a bit low. She's joking. You look at Tang, who shakes his head, signaling no. The situation got very awkward because only you and Tiang haven't been, while Sujin and Mrs. Lee are babbling nonsensely. Mrs. Lee, Miss Fan, do you have a crush on someone? Your eyes widen, and you are about to say no when Sujin interjects. Sujin is ma'am, but how can she tell that her first love and childhood crush is marrying her sister in a week? Tiang chokes on his foot and everyone look at him. Ryan, Mr. Kim, are you alright? Tiang, yeah, Mr. Ryan, thank you. He nods and Sujin starts babbling again. You can't even pinch her because Tiang is in front of him, Sujin is beside him. Mrs. Lee, that's really unfortunate, this one. I sincerely feel bad for you. You smile awkwardly. And Sujin says something that makes her cheeks heat up. And Tiang's eyes widen. Sujin, yeah, Ryan had a crush on Tiang's when she first started working here. I could tell just by looking at her. I'm happy that my best friend is moving on from her first love, but suddenly she paused. But suddenly Mr. Kim got engaged. Man was really hurt, but she still doesn't realize her own feelings. She pouted. I wanted to take hold and jump in because Tiang sir was looking at me. It was embarrassing. He knows that all the female employees stroll over him, even me. But this is really embarrassing. I lowered my head and Mrs. Lee. People embarrassed you can pretend to be drunk. She whispered slowly. I really wanted to forget his embarrassment, so I grabbed a bottle and started to drink. Few minutes later, Tiang spoke. My heart started to pound fast when I heard she had a crush on me. But why does it affect me so much? I know the other female employees have crushes on me, but I always ignore them. He arguing about why makes me feel happy inside. No, this can't be happening. I stared at her. She was not drunk. I think she took to escape the embarrassment. Mrs. Lee, excuse me, Mr. Kim, I have to take a phone call. I need to leave now. Thank you for the party. Tiang, take care, Mrs. Lee. Mrs. Lee, don't worry, my bodyguard and driver are waiting for me. She said and left. I turned towards Sylvian, who smiled widely before getting up from her seat and joining her collegiate group. She had been sulking because no one was cooperating with her. That was just wrong, and me sitting there. Tiang, Miss Fan, she didn't say anything. I wrote her forehead in frustration. Tiang, Miss Fan, please stop drinking now. She already had too much, and if she drank more, she might pass out. Tiang, one stop. I got up from my seat and gently grabbed the rest, taking the bottle from her hand. Tiang, you can't drink now, Miss Fine, she pouted. God, all her friends were also, but I noticed two people in that group who hadn't been at all. I approached them. Tiang, you two didn't drink, right? Leah, yes sir, because I will be driving some of our friends home. Joshua, and I need to drop off some friends too because they are all. Tiang, you two are really good friends. They all nodded. Tiang, do you guys know where Van lives? Joshua, yeah, I can drop her too, but her house is the farthest, so I usually drop her off last. He said, sadly explaining why he needs to drop her off last. Sujin, yeah, Joshua, thanks for dropping us off, she said. Then Sujin sent me Van's home address now. Sujin, yes, boss. I opened my phone when I got a notification. Then it was correct location. I doubted her because she was, but she nodded and sent me something else before typing. Young, about one PDF I read what she sent me. Sujan, yes boss, you told me to make PDF about all the employees. She said while I was checking the PDF, interesting facts about mine was in her profile. I smiled. Sujan, sir, this has the same address, you can check. I nodded. Thank you, our great assistant, Miss Susan. Thanks, Susan. You're welcome, boss. I turned towards Van while calling my driver because I was not in mood to drive. Van, Kim Tiang, why did you stop me from? She grabbed her and started to again. I held her hand and knelt down to her level. Wine, you can't stop me. I snatched a bottle from her hand, but she grabbed my collar and pulled me close. My face was just inches from her. Drink into my face. She looked into my eyes, then her gaze traveled to my. I gulped as she closed her eyes and pulled me closer, but I didn't feel her lips. She stopped and dropped her head on my shoulder. My hands automatically went to her back. Then Miss Van, are you dozing off? I shook her gently, and she responded, Wine. She softly whispered on my neck, sending shiver down my spine. Then, when I started to push her away gently, but her grip on me tighter. When, where is your fur? Then, fur. When, yeah, my dog has beautiful fur, she said, caressing my hair. Then, I'm not your dog. I pushed her away with difficulty and she let go of me. Then, now come on, get up. My driver is here. He will drop you home. She nodded and did as I said. Before leaving, I paid the hotel manager. Manager saw you is scared, he said, noticing one cringing to me and side hugging me tightly. Then she is not my girlfriend, I said calmly. Manager, I'm sorry, sir. I mean, you is so lovely. She loves you so much. He said, my cheeks turned slightly pink. What could I even say to him? I just nodded and left the restaurant. One, no, please come with me, otherwise I won't go here. I was struggling to get her into the car, but she wasn't budging. One, no, please, my dog. Dog, what the hell, Miss One? I'm not your dog. I shouted at her, and her eyes started to fill with tears. Why are you acting like my boss who always gives me cold shoulder and shouts at me? She said with teary eyes, my expression softened. I cupped her cheek with my hand. I'm sorry, I said softly and gently moved her aside and got into the car. Tung, now come on, I'm coming with you, okay? I freed her hand. She smiled and got into the car. It would be even easier if she or I could drop her home without any trouble. After a few minutes, Tung, while we are at your home, I shook her, but she had already passed out. I sighed. Tung knocked on the door of her house, holding one tightly, prevent from her falling. The door opened and a beautiful girl answered, her eyes widening. Sorry, who are you? She asked, opened the door to let them in. Tung gently placed one on the couch. Tung, I'm Tung, her office friend. She nodded and called her parents. Sorry. Her parents came into the living room. Tung felt awkward before revealing he was once boss, so he said he was her friend instead. Her mom, oh my god, when she sat beside her. Her father, who are you and where was fine? Then actually there was an achievement party at the office and everyone had to attend. Sorry, that's just another excuse for her to avoid dating Jamin. And that you understand, she is still upset with my fiancé. She said causing them to clench his jaw, but he controlled his anger. Her mom, you are her office friend? He nodded. Sorry, why do I feel like I have seen you somewhere? Then, because I'm handsome, of course you must have seen a model director who looks like me. Tang said confidently and she nodded. Tang, anyways, I should get going now. At Tang's home, Tang, where is Jiwon? Mrs. Kim looked at him confusedly. Mrs. Kim, of course, in her house. Tang, can I get her number? He asked, and Mrs. Kim